Hey, B.
Hello.
So what are we doing right now? What are you doing?
Packing to go to rehab
And
and getting ready to leave.
where are you going to rehab?
I'm going.
It starts with a B, right?
Yeah, but it's under the White Deer Run umbrella. It's it's in Pennsylvania. I forget the name, escapes me right now, but it's in Pennsylvania. So I'm going there, and for a long time, because I've been addicted to drugs for even a longer time, and
Much longer time.
And I can't do it by myself. So I was sleeping outside. This is that blue shirt that I was talking about. Remember you said there's no blue shirt, short sleeve blue shirt here?
I didn't buy that for you.
Yes, you did.
When?
Yesterday.
No, I didn't. It's thin as thin can be. Look at it.
It's a George shirt from Walmart.
No, there's no way I bought there's no George shirts at Walmart.
It's a medium. Yes, you did. Yes, or you bought it somewhere.
No.
Yeah, you found it somewhere. Yeah, because this is how I got it. It's clean. It's brand new.
What?
Yeah, where else would I get it? Yeah. So, yeah, that's you. So that had nothing to do with the topic of the video, but that's absolutely you.
Okay. All right. So wait a minute. Let's figure out your story of how many times do you think you have gone to rehab?
$12 to $15.
Really?
Yeah, I would say 12 to 15 times since I've been 24.
Okay. So, you just get to a point where you feel like...
Well, you basically want to recharge. Because I'd say 80% of those times I didn't want to stop.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to stop. I just go to recharge, a place to stay, convince the people that are around me that, hey, look, he's trying to stop. Let's take it easy on him and not hassle him. And then...
So it was kind of a manipulative...
It was 100% a manipulative thing to just appease whoever was around me, so that I would just be like, okay, yeah, I'll go and I'll be clean, and just
know when you were going in
that I wasn't going to stay clean.
Yeah.
I'd say 80% of those rehabs were like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what makes this one different?
Life experience, I guess. I've been homeless for a period of time, and I was sleeping outside a lot, and sleeping outside sucks, but it comes to a point where you don't want to do it anymore. And everybody has to hit a rock bottom, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this is my rock bottom, because I don't know if it is, because you can never tell. Like, you can't say with certainty this was my rock bottom, because that can only be proven after you go to wherever you go to. You know, if I come out of this and then I went back and used, it wasn't my rock bottom. So, like, you never know. So, like, that definition, that word's real slippery. Like, those words are real slippery.
So what would you determine as, instead of saying rock bottom, what would you determine it to be? That's your most motivating factor to say that this is going to be the time that it's going to work.
I could. When you're done with work at the end of the day, whoever's watching this, or school, or whatever profession you do, you get to go home.
Right.
And you go home to a bed and a meal. And every day I didn't go home to that. I couldn't go home. I wanted to go anywhere to sleep. And nobody would even give me a bed to sleep in. Not in the bed. They wouldn't unlock a shed for me to sleep in a shed. So I would sleep in abandoned buildings. And But they would take my money for me to buy drugs from them, of course. But they wouldn't let me even sleep in a shed. Um, so when people take for granted sometimes that all I wanted to do was go to a home. I didn't even, I didn't care what it was. I didn't care if it was a building that was unlocked. Like, just let me go to a home.
Like
and
a
I didn't even
shelter.
have that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go to a shelter because you get jumped and you get
Well,
stuck
like
up.
to shelter yourself
Yeah,
from
to
the
shelter,
weather
to
and
shelter myself. And towards the end, I would. I just wanted that. I didn't like. I got high out of necessity because I didn't want my body to get sick, and all I wanted to do was have somewhere to go. I didn't want money. I didn't want anything. I just wanted somewhere to go, and nobody would put me up. So that kind of was the end of it. That
was the big motivator.
That's what kind of made me want to go do it. Yeah, because it's tough. It's hard. It's like I'm a human being. Like, I'm not a goddamn, it doesn't define you. Like, for people to not even unlock a shed blows my mind that you would be that self-centered. But you'd take my drugs from me, but then you wouldn't let me sleep at your house. Like, you gotta go. I have to go. Like, can I sleep in your shed? No, my landlord might stop by. It's 4 a.m. You won't let me crash in your shed for 2 hours?
Yeah.
And there was still no.
But these are the kind of people that you're dealing with, though.
It's drug addiction.
It's drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a desperation for whatever you can get from somebody.
Sure. It's what you can get to benefit you and then move on.
Yeah, so those are and you've been on both sides of that because you have dealt drugs and you have done drugs. So you've been on both sides of it.
I've also opened my door to hundreds and hundreds of individuals throughout my drug addiction that have lived with me. I had a point in time where I was living at the Skyline in Syracuse, and from February 11th to October 17th, I didn't have a night alone, and it was a different person every night sleeping at my house.
Because people needed a place to stay.
So
you were a drug dealer with compassion.
I had a girl overdose in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook blue, she was. You know, the blue color of Facebook?
Yeah.
That's what color she was.
That's disgusting.
She was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, the guy that brought her there, because she was still walking and shit when she showed up, and she's like, "Oh, let me dose." So she did it. The guy who brought her there saw her fall out. I saw her fall out till she fell and hit the ground. He goes, "Fuck that, she's dead. I'm out of here." Ran out of my apartment and left me there with her. I checked her pulse. She had a light pulse, but she wasn't breathing. From my experience being a firefighter, that you can start rescue breathing with those options. Like, it's not full on CPR. I just need to rescue breathe. I called 911, emptied her pockets, which contained drugs, and rescue breathed for that girl for 8 minutes until the paramedics got there.
And what is rescue breathing?
It's tilting the head back, clamping the nose, giving breaths so that their body,
their diaphragm
expands, and then sweeping the airway so that there's no vomit, there's no nothing, because she was vomiting and everything. So there was no. So I'm doing that constantly until the paramedics get there. Paramedics get there. They proceed to Narcan her twice. Boom, boom. They Narcan her. She goes off to the hospital. She signs herself out when she gets her wits about her. Same day, signs herself out of the hospital. Comes to my door, knocks on my door. I open it. I was like, "How are you?" "Where are my drugs?" First words out of her mouth. "Where are my drugs?" I said, "They're right here." And I gave them to her. I didn't do them. I ran her pockets so she wouldn't go to fucking jail. That's what. She didn't say thank you, but she'll brag about it on the streets now. If she sees me and she's in a group of people, it's like cool to die. Like, "Oh, he saved my life one day. He saved my life one day." Never a thank you. Never a thank you that day. I gave her drugs and she went on her way. She didn't even hang out to do them. Like when I was still using, hang out to do them with me. She just fucking left. I had a girl.
So what is that? Well, like, and that's a basic mentality of a lot of people who are drug addicted and living in that world. So what does that make it feel like? Does it feel like it's really just all for...
It's all for yourself. It's all for... It's all... They don't... She didn't give a fuck about me.
Right.
I don't give a... I should have... Why did I let her live? I could... If I didn't do anything, she would be dead.
Right.
I fucking... You know how hard it is to breathe for somebody for 8 minutes? Fucking try it. It's every 30 seconds you got to take a breath for them, not you.
Right. Yeah.
By that point, by the time the paramedics got there, I almost passed out from exhaustion.
Right.
And she wanted the drugs and then left. Fuck out of here.
So for people like who are watching this and watching like your YouTube channel or whatever, whether they're an addict, whether they're in love with an addict or related to an addict or anything like that, what do you hope for them to get from these types of stories, like of just the kind of shit that you dealt with as a drug addict?
I don't know. I think they should get what they can. Take whatever you want from the story.
Right.
If you don't learn anything from the story, you don't learn anything. That's fine. That's your own path to blaze.
Right.
But I just know that I would do it again, and I would save her tonight.
Right.
Again. Even though if I knew the same outcome, she was going to come to my door and not thank me, and I would do it again. Because that's just the type of person I am.
Right.
That's the only thing that saved me in this. If I turned into a scumbag and didn't care about him, let him die, and because it would have been an accidental overdose, I wouldn't have got charged, it would have been fine, then there would have been no hope.
Yeah. That's
the only reason there's kind of hope for me, is because I didn't lose that. In all of this, I never lost the good person at the inside. I could have done her. I should have done her drugs that day. I should have done them all. I didn't do any of them. I put them up in the closet. Didn't touch them. Mm-hmm. People came by all day. I didn't tell a single soul. I should have done them. And it's not a reward. Why should I have done them? Because she would have done mine. It's almost like you're out for your own. She probably would have.
Right.
She would have. I would have died if the roles were reversed. But they weren't. That happened more than once at that apartment. Mm-hmm. I had a girl they brought over. She started to have an episode off of Spike. It's called K2, Spike, whatever. Starts seizing up, like having seizures. I'm like, holy shit. The people that she's with, they ran out because one of them had a warrant. Come to find out, the girl wasn't even of age to be in. She was 17. So I have a 17-year-old girl here in my apartment, seizing up from drugs, and I'm the only one here because they all fucking left me. Mm-hmm. And if any of them see this video, you know who you are. You all fucking left me. And I handled it. The reason how I handled it was because I was truthful and honest with the paramedics and the police officers who were there. And I've worked with law enforcement before in the past when I was a firefighter, so I knew how to talk to them and explain the situation. I didn't give any names. I didn't say, well, he was here, and they came back after to hang out. Like, it blows my mind. Both of those people lived with me. Both of those people lived with me before that incident, and they would still do that. They would still run, knowing the girl was of underage, and let me there.
It's a really shady. It's a shady way to live. 100%. I mean, there are different types of drug addicts. There are people who are functioning drug addicts,
which I was for a majority of the time.
For how long would you say you were a functioning drug addict? Like in your life, where you were still like a productive member of society?
20 years, maybe 15. 20 years, yeah. And then I started to get bad when I moved to Syracuse. And it was that Molly, that it's basically a methamphetamine.
It's a meth. Mm-hmm.
It's not meth. It's similar to meth.
Okay.
But I didn't try that until I was like 40, 39. Mm-hmm. Like I never tried it in Jersey.
Right.
So I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And that was the one that fucking almost got me, but it can't kill you. It's weird. Well, it can. You can have heart attacks, complications and stuff. But it won't. You don't hear people overdosing from it.
Right.
It's a different chemical, and it's if you order it from a pharmaceutical company in China, it's legal until it hits the United States. So you can get it in the mail. Not a lot of people know that, but that exists. I knew that. How do you think I got it?
So when you and I met, you were hardcore Molly.
Yeah, I was doing over a gram a day when I met you originally, knowing that I was doing over a gram a day.
But not telling me.
No.
I knew nothing about it.
Totally not telling you.
Very naive to drugs. I was.
Totally not telling you. And that eats at me to this day, and it will always eat at me. And I should have been, because the addiction is so selfish. You're so about yourself. Like, you don't want people to walk out of your lives. You're like, oh, I just won't tell them. Like, the right thing to do would have been to tell you initially that, hey, listen, I got a fucking pretty big drug problem. But I didn't look at it in my eyes as a pretty big drug problem. I looked at it as normal, because that's what I would do. When I wasn't doing a gram of Molly, when I was in New Jersey, I was smoking a fucking gram of crack. Like, I was a crackhead before that. Like, then before that was coke. And like, I would just move up, and then it would turn into heroin, and so it was normal. So I didn't think of it as that. But my selfish ways said, don't let anybody know. Just hide it. And that's so I did. Yeah, I was doing about a gram, sometimes more, sometimes way more. The price fluctuated though during the summers and the falls and stuff like that. So it was a change of how much I would do, but it was a significant amount. Yeah. So I wasn't honest about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my fault.
A little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we did find out.
Yeah.
You did tell me straight up.
Mm-hmm. Had to.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
Before you did.
Yeah.
You had to because, do you remember why? Do you remember why you had to? Because COVID shut school down.
Yeah.
And I was going to be home every day.
Yeah. That, and I knew I was really bad at that point. Like, I was bad into it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was.
Yeah, like over the edge, like mentally over the edge.
And it affects your brain chemistry, that stuff. And it affects how you think and how you just analyze problems and just deal with them. So, yeah, but probably, I'd say since 2015, a large percentage of things are blurs. They're not like rock steady memories. I don't remember a lot of functions. I don't remember getting pulled over sometimes. I've had a cop pulled me over on a naval base on a Saturday, and I was so high on Ambien, and pulled me over the next weekend for like the same infraction. And he's like, I just pulled you over last weekend. No recollection of getting pulled over. Like, that's crazy to me. And that was at a naval base, like a federal naval base. I was sneaking drugs on to use.
So there's going to be so much of your story. There's so much to tell, and this is just like little bits and pieces from different parts. But tomorrow morning at 10:30, you're getting picked up.
Yes.
To go to whatever that part is of
Bradford.
Yes. I knew it started with a B. White Deer Run in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
And your goal. What's your goal? What's your goal with going this time? Because this time feels different to you.
Right now, my goal is to complete the program. Right now. That's my only goal. I just want to complete. I can't promise anything else after that because I don't know what's going to, like...
You're not promising anything. You're just saying what your goal is.
My goal is to complete right now.
Okay.
My goal is to complete. My goal is to get through one day at a time, like they say in NA and AA, one day at a time. because it's scary. So yeah, that's my goal. Is to just get through tomorrow.
As the day has gone on, it's gotten scarier.
Yeah, sure. And as the night, like it'll be a sleepless night because of the scariness of it, because of the finality of it. Because
The finale, what do you mean by finality? Describe that.
like I can't get out of there and use something like recreationally. I can't use anything recreationally. That's why I don't gamble. I don't go to Atlantic City. I don't smoke cigarettes because I know if I did, I would smoke the most. I'd smoke 2 packs, 3 packs a day because I'm just. It has to be. It has to numb me.
You're an addict.
Yes, I mean yes, and it has to numb me, and it has to numb how I feel because I hate how I feel. I always have since I was a little kid. I've hated how I felt. So it would have to numb me. So I can't do anything in moderation. I can't smoke weed. I can't have medical because it will affect your mindset, and then your mindset changes. And when my mindset changes, forget it. I'm off to the races, and I'm done.
It goes right to drugs. Well, that's how you've coped since you were 19 years old.
I know. That's all I know. The first time I ever tried cocaine was in like June of '94. I look up the exact date actually because I was watching a wrestling event and a wrestler by the name of Owen Hart fell from the rafters and was killed. And I remember watching it on pay-per-view. And that was the first time I ever tried cocaine that night. So I know the date I started.
Right, yeah.
And the first time I tried it, I loved it. I was like, this is great. This makes me feel good. And it just started from there and just took off. Started with Coke. Then Coke wasn't enough. Coke wouldn't do it for me. I was doing too much. My tolerance was too high. I moved to crack. And in the beginning, when I was doing Coke, I would never. I was like, oh, I'm not smoking crack. That's dirty. I was doing that. And then crack wasn't enough. Then I started doing heroin. Then I was like, just sniffing heroin isn't enough. And I was like, I'm not going to shoot it. That's gross. Then I started shooting heroin.
Mm-hmm.
Then and this was rehab. Like I was going to rehabs for crack and Coke before I even shot heroin. So I was already in the rehab circles and circuits, going through rehabs. And then I disappeared for a couple days, and I was down in Atlantic City doing a bunch of heroin, shooting heroin. And I came back, and my cat was gone, and my pillowcase was gone. And the reason my pillowcase was gone was because they took it for the dogs to smell you out. They were looking for me, and I had a knock on my door, and the police came in, and this was in 2016, and said, you either have to go get help, go to the hospital right now, or we're going to charge you for every syringe that we have in this thing. And they said, we never want to see you in this town again. Get out. And I said, okay. So I left, and New Jersey didn't have facilities that would take, because I had no insurance or anything like that. I didn't have Medicaid or anything like that. That was non-existent at that point. So they sent me to the Salvation Army in Syracuse, which 2016, like December of 2016. December 2015. And April 2016, I was there for like 4 months. So I was clean for 4 months in a work program there. You work in the store there. You work in the back warehouse in the store, and I excelled. I actually had a job cleaning inside the actual living area. I didn't even work in the warehouse anymore. I already bypassed all those people. Mm-hmm. I was already one of the top people in the thing. I went home for my birthday weekend. I wanted to smoke crack. And I smoked crack, and my mom had an airplane ticket for me to fly back to Syracuse that Sunday, and I ghosted her. I didn't show up for the airline ticket. I just went back into using heroin until I got really high in August of 2016. And my brother drove me. The only way I would go was if my brother would drive me up. And I got really high where I was nodding out the whole time. I don't remember the drive. And my brother drove me up to Syracuse with a bag in my hand and dropped me off at the emergency room and said, good luck.
And how old was he at that point? Because he's a significantly younger than you.
24, probably.
So he was like 24 years old.
Yeah, 24-year-old, dropping his brother off in Syracuse with just a bag saying, good luck. There's nothing we can do for you. Nothing. My mom had it. There was nothing they could do for me in New Jersey. So I went into a mental facility there, and then they put me in a halfway house called the Lincoln House on the west side of Syracuse, which is riddled with drugs. That side of Syracuse, they would say. So I was in that halfway house for 6 months, clean, sober, everything. Then they put me in the supportive living, which was about 4 blocks away from the halfway house, but it was your own place. I did good. I was in supportive living for about a month. And then my birthday came around again. And I actually finished just taking a recovery coach course that there was Sir. I was in this place. They set me up when I came in August called Care, and Care actually paid for the course. It was like $500, and I went through the course, and it was like several weeks, and I completed it, and it was goal to being a recovery coach, and I have certificates from it, and I remember I relapsed on my birthday. My mom and my grandmother sent me a check each for $100, and I had $200. By the end of the night, I didn't have my TV anymore, my 40-inch TV. I've already sold it, smoked the $200 in crack, and sold my TV, my 40-inch television, for crack. By the end of that night, not even like weeks later, that night, April 18th, like, yeah, that's how bad I was. And I was clean for 9 months the day before.
So your birthday is obviously
My birthday's a
trigger.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think?
Because I always wanted to celebrate it.
Okay.
I always wanted to celebrate. That's why I always wanted to. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go hard on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And hard for me is
drugs.
Yeah, but like not like hard for me is kills other people. Like hard for me is fucking a couple 8 balls of crack for myself. Like that's hard for me. Like, and yeah, and I will always, because I don't want to feel, and I'm absolutely in love with self-sabotage because I don't feel I deserve good. Never did, because when you're growing up, not so much my mom, but my dad telling me that I don't deserve good, you tend to think that, and it's self-sabotage. It sticks with you forever, and that's something I need to get over, and I'm gonna work on that. But I recognize that I know what's wrong. Like I can tell, but self-sabotage is it's a big deal. It's a big deal with me. I don't feel that I'm good enough. I will self-sabotage something. If my life starts going too good, I will self-sabotage it because I don't feel I deserve it. And it's happened every single time. Every example I can give you, it ends with me sabotaging it. Every single one.
But this time is different. You really feel this time is different. And now I've done this with you. What is this? Our third time, fourth time?
Do I feel that this time is different? I do.
You've said it. You've said it a bunch of times
I do feel it's different. But I'm scared of me. I'm scared of me self-sabotaging. I'm scared of the old Brian coming out, like just having a rough day.
Right.
That's what I'm definitely afraid of. Me, like being good on my meds and everything, and then having a bad day or something bad happened, and then just turning back into because it doesn't take long. It says it in NA and AA. When you have sobriety and you fall off the wagon, you pick up right where you left off, the amount where you left off too. You don't go back to just like minor.
Starting
over or doing like a little bit. You go right back. If I was 2 bundles a day, I'm doing 2 bundles a day again. Like right off the rip. It doesn't there's not a reset clock for that for your body.
Right.
Your body goes right back to and that's how some people. I've lost a lot of people that I've known living in Syracuse that they weren't friends. None of them were friends, but they died from going to rehab, coming out, and thinking they can use a little, and they're dead. I think since I moved to Syracuse in 2016, I think I've had 7 people die that have lived with me or would come over on a regular basis and hang out with me. They're
I think in the last year you've told me of 2 or 3 anyway.
2 or 3 that have died, and I was close to some of them, really close to them, as
But-
close as you could be in a drug addicted fucking
Right, in the
haze.
environment of,
Yeah.
you know, it all is focused and revolving around drugs.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that is something that I worry about. So I mean, I say it's different this time, but I worry. I mean, hopefully that worry will go away one day, and I'll know the tools to use to get by it. But
You've gotten more, like I said already, you've gotten more nervous as the day and night has gone on.
correct.
And I feel like, first of all, I know that nighttime is a hard time for you.
Yeah, nighttime
It's difficult, you know, and you're how many days out of detox? Not very many days. It's not like you're on
week.
It's not like you're on steady ground by any means.
No.
Hence me being here.
Yeah. No, I'm saying. Yeah, but if you weren't here, I wouldn't use. I'm really terrified of using right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just because it would be the self-sabotage that I would want.
It would be it.
And that's why there's been so much accountability for me for the past couple of days, is because I worry about my self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
I worry about like disappearing and just be like, no, I can't do this. I'm too scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're scared, sometimes people face it. Sometimes they'll run and hide. Sometimes they just don't want to deal with it. And I've been with drug addiction, you just don't want to deal with it. You just want to go away.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're scared of living life without
A substance
of any kind.
Yeah. And you're an addict when like I wasn't a big drinker, but if it was the only thing I had, I would do it. And I would drink till it was all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I can't do anything, and that's really, really, really scary.
That's something in the times that I've done this with you before. That's something that you always went in saying, I know that I can do this and I can just smoke a little pot and I can drink. You went in saying that. This time you're like, it's almost as if like